Wow.
Hello. We are here again, and not too late. Not very late.
Is it live?
Yes, we are live.
Oh yeah, it is. Okay.
Yeah. Hello, Indrid.
There you go.
What are we talking about today?
Bigfoot, in specific, one encounter in specific that I find really fascinating.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. From what I saw, it was interesting to say the least. I have like a lot to say about it because we watched a video of just covering it with some witness testimony.
Yeah, we watched it yesterday and then didn't really talk throughout the whole thing, so we'd save it for now.
Yeah, it's I don't know, the whole encounter was odd, but yeah, give some background.
So the interview, well, we watched a specific video. I'm gonna post it in the chat right now. We watched a very specific video from a guy named Bob Gimlin, or Jim. I think it's Gimlin. He does a lot of these sorts of videos, and he's really good. He gets a lot of the facts and things like that. But it's an interview with a guy named Randy, and he starts messaging Bob kind of out of nowhere with these emails that he thought were just kind of crazy. And then this was like in 2019, February of 2019, when he starts getting these emails, and then he starts talking to him, and it gets the whole story, and it's one of the more incredible things because it happened in 1977 when Randy was about 10 years old.
Yeah, it's one of the craziest ones I've heard, because like when you think Bigfoot sighting, you think a guy in like an ape suit wandering in the woods. You don't think like an extensive lure behind it. It's just
well, maybe that's what you think, but not me.
From a normie like me, I'm sorry. You don't really think about it.
Yeah. Because there's a lot that goes into Bigfoot because he's just a spooky dude in the woods, sure, but there's so much more that goes into it, dude. I know there is.
you know the truth. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
But not like I know for sure, but like I know that there's a lot more.
Well, I think you just confirmed that you've joined the Men in Black. You know now.
Man, that'd be cool.
But yeah, I guess let's just start like from the very beginning, like Randy's story, just how he sets it up and run through that whole story.
Yeah, so I was, because like I found everything so fascinating. I was just gonna look at his freaking transcripts and go through that, but I did write down quite a bit in the beginning. So 1977, Randy is 10 years old. He's riding his bike with his friend. They went to Morris Lake and were just kind of, poking around, searching and just exploring and stuff. And they find a bush that's hollowed out. And it's like a network of hollowed out bushes. So they go inside and they see like picture frames, like pictures in picture frames. But what's weird about the pictures in the frames is that they're just the stock photos that you find. There we go. Pull that up. It's like the stock photos that you find at, I don't know, fucking Hobby Lobby, wherever they sell pictures. So, the people smiling, the ones that are too pretty or whatever. And there's like, and you can see it's kind of like off center a little bit for me. I don't know if that's on purpose or what. Like on the stream. Anyway. Okay. That much better. See, and there's like jewelry and weird stuff. That's a good question. Why is he stealing picture frames?
Yeah.
See, that's actually a pretty good question. Yes, hi, we're live. So I think it's because of, it's got to be the curiosity, but there's another reason, and we're going to cover this probably in a part 2. I think Randy talks about the reason in his interview. for the pictures.
Well, it's curious because we're talking about like Bigfoot. We're like looking into it like as an animal, but it made me think of crows because you know what they like collecting little shiny objects, things that they
Yeah.
think are valuable. People find value in it, and is
Yeah.
this just because what shiny objects like for all the other like little things they've collected, but the picture frame is more of just like that one Bigfoot we're going to discuss.
It's odd.
It's like their curiosity with humans, but but also, how did they get a picture frame? Did they just walk into like an IKEA?
Well, considering
like,
where they are. Oh, this is in Michigan, by the way. Where in Michigan? I wrote it down. Where the fuck? It's in Michigan. I can't remember exactly where. And it's like a farming community, so these things, I feel they're prowling around. Maybe it's just frames that people dropped when they were moving. Who knows? Maybe they went into houses when people weren't there and snagged them.
Mm-hmm. And this media that's on screen right now is drawn by the eyewitness to this. He drew it later in life.
And what's interesting about this guy, he was never an artist or like a creative type person in the beginning. And then once he gets older, he starts remembering these things and just has to draw them and starts pouring them out. And what's crazy is the detail in the drawings too. It's nuts. I mean, for someone who's not an artist and who's not really the creative type, you look at the drawings and it's got to be a memory. To me, it just has to be a memory.
Well, okay, but I can claim not to be something and then just do it, you know? Even though I've never like done something. Like this is a very clever way to like get your art out there a little bit, you know, to say, oh, I've never drawn anything, and then fabricate this.
I don't think he wants to be an artist though. He's literally, all right, this guy Randy, after all this, he started the Midwest Bigfoot Researchers. Okay, I don't think a Bigfoot researcher wants to be a big time artist and is going to go through all this just so he can get his art out there, right?
I don't know. People have done crazier things.
I don't think he's trying to be an artist. I really don't.
I think
that's reaching.
I think it's just something that should be considered. Just because someone claims that they've never done art before doesn't mean they haven't. You know.
I know, but I believe him. All right. Anyway, that was a good derailment. So they are exploring these bushes and they don't really think much of it. They're just like, oh, whoa, weird pictures, jewelry, that's odd. And then so they leave eventually, and then they're riding their bikes and they come across Randy and his friend come across two other boys they know, and those two other boys were gonna go camping, and so Randy and his friend decide to join them. And once so they go back and get their camping equipment, and they come back and they try to find the other two boys, and they can't find them. So they just decide to set up camp where they are. And about an hour later, they hear their friend Russell, which was the boy's name. He's yelling for their other friend Mike. He can't find him. And so they start hearing like growls and screams that were definitely not human, which is pretty scary. So they left. They got scared. They left, of course, and they went and told their parents, and the parents kind of laughed, like, what? So they go and get their stuff in the morning, or they try to go get their stuff in the morning, and there's a news van there, and they weren't allowed in.
Oh, wait, I think you're skipping over a little bit. Apparently they actually, apparently they saw, like, they actually had an encounter with the Bigfoot.
What are they doing?
Bigfoots. Because he drew an illustration where he was getting dragged into the woods at one point.
Yeah.
So, like,
I think this may have been, I don't know. I do think, I kind of remember him saying that he did, like, I just don't remember fully. I don't want to say it did happen, that it didn't happen, but,
Yeah, I think part of it was, like, they lost their friends, and then this is, like, the first real encounter. And they tried telling their parents, and they didn't believe that there's Bigfoots living in the woods. And to be fair, because what parents would,
Right. Yeah. Why would they believe him? yeah, they go back to go get their camping stuff in the morning because they're scared and they leave it. Obviously, because of this stuff. And I remember that they hear him yelling for Mike for a long time too, and that's a little important. Anyway, so Mike is found about 24 hours later, and he wouldn't speak about what happened at all. None of it. And it's eventually blamed on a bus driver, a local bus driver, which sucks. And then I have written down claim to be chasing a dog. I don't know. I think.
Yeah, they thought they were chasing a dog or something because of the way the Bigfoot moves. Like they move in this really weird way where it's like all furs, you know, like a dog.
And I think some of the there you go. That's a picture. Yeah, like their feet kind of bend like a dog. Yeah, there's even like a part in the video where Randy's explaining it, and he's trying to like make the shape of the dog foot with his hand and stuff. So Tim was the guy that was camping with his friend Mike. Mike was the boy who was taken.
Yeah,
or disappeared.
Mike disappeared for a period of time, came back, and after like the news van stuff, Mike isn't imprudent anymore.
No, kind of, not really. He just doesn't come up again.
Yeah, he's irrelevant.
So eventually Tim stops socializing, and Randy goes and asks Tim why, and he says he's been busy with his pet orangutan, and so Randy goes over to Tim's house, and Tim's babysitter says that he's out back playing with a troll in the cornfield. Mike is not gone forever. No, he just doesn't show up again in the story.
He doesn't matter.
Nah. No, but that's a joke. Well, okay, yeah. So Tim's babysitter, Randy comes by, and it's like, where's Tim? What's going on? And his babysitter says he's out back playing with a troll in the cornfield. So Randy goes back there, and he sees a creature, but he sees Tim like sitting at the edge of the cornfield looking in. Can you pull that picture up?
I don't believe I have that one.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
That's a good one. Oh my God. Oh, you're kidding?
No, I don't have that one.
Oh, okay. There's a good picture of Tim sitting at the edge of a cornfield, and you can just see kind of like a gorilla's face peeking through the corn stalks. It's pretty good. And so through a little bit of conversation, apparently the orangutan's name is Mike, and Mike can say his own name. And the way that Randy described the way that Mike could say his name, it sounded like a burp, but I don't know. So we don't think the thing's name was Mike. It's only saying Mike because of Mike. Everybody was yelling Mike, so for whatever reason, this creature latched onto that and is just repeating it for, I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe
I don't know how to explain
maybe it
that.
thinks it's like a greeting or something, Like they thought they were yelling hello into the woods. And I pulled up the picture of like the little goblin in the cornfield waving back.
Yeah, that brings up the next point though. Hold on, I'm misclicking around. So they start playing with Randy, and he's a lot of fun because Mike. Fuck, there's too many names in this.
Mike the Bigfoot. Now,
Mike,
not the child Bigfoot. That doesn't matter. Mike the Bigfoot.
Yeah, Mike the Bigfoot can imitate them like almost perfectly, and so they're playing. Can you bring that picture up again? He's like raising his hand, and Mike will do it too, and God, I think that's about as far as they got with that on this one. But yeah, so you can see them like getting Mike to imitate what they're doing. Yeah, big Mike.
Big Mike,
yeah.
This little Mike, big Mike, prison Mike, like this, all the Mikes. But
prison Mike.
but Bigfoot Mike has like a primitive interaction because like he's kind of like just mirroring their actions, but it's like in a playful manner. It's trying to come off as
like
harmless.
you have an orangutan and you're just playing with it like, oh fuck yeah, this is cool. Let's do this and see if it'll do it too. Like I'm sure I would have loved that as a kid. I mean shit. And something stood out to me though. The way that he described that it could mimic cats. Apparently it was perfect. There's also, this is a little bit of a tangent. There's something about the Mammoth Cave system in Kentucky where people will hear crying babies. And if this thing, like, there are definitely things that can imitate other sounds and stuff like perfectly, but it's, I don't know, it's just weird. It's trying to imitate something that it's heard before. It can do it perfectly. It's odd, and it'll get your attention. It'll get you to come to it. And
so you're saying,
I know that there's some Bigfoot sightings around those cave systems as well.
What you're saying is that Big Mike is luring children into the woods with these sounds.
I don't think knowingly, but you know, maybe he learned it from the bigger Bigfoot.
I think he wants an easy meal.
Sure, except for he didn't eat them.
Yet.
Yeah, yet. So they play with Mike for a few hours, and it says sometimes he would retreat into the cornfield and he'd mimic the boys. Mike also liked to say his name because apparently Randy and Tim found it funny. It made them laugh. And he seemed to enjoy making them laugh. Okay, sorry, I'm reading ahead a little bit. So, okay, all right. So Randy goes home. He doesn't like what's on TV that night. I don't know why that was pertinent, but it is.
He hates Bionic Woman. He hates it.
He didn't want to watch Bionic Woman.
Yes.
So he goes out to the family barn that's on the property to play. Oh, I lost my spot. Hold on.
Yeah, he went out to play, and Mike like followed him home like a stray dog.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. All right. He often went to play in this barn. He went into the hayloft for a few minutes and he heard the door open. He thought it was his dad coming in to talk to him about something, and it wasn't. It was Mike. So he looks at Mike and he's like, "Oh my god!" And then they start playing because that's his friend. It's an orangutan. They had previous interaction. It's like, oh, my new friend, right?
Yeah, it's like a setup to like a 90s movie with any animal, like, you know, they just start having fun and goofing off, and then well,
the first thing they do is they press their feet together.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why it's important, but it seemed important to Randy when he was telling the story. I guess because of the big feet. Did you get that picture?
No.
God damn it. Oh my god. Here's why it's important. I'm stupid. He pressed their feet together, and Randy was kind of surprised at like what flexible feet Mike had. And it's one of the reasons he was so convinced Mike was an escaped pet, because he was so calm, indicating, of course, he was accustomed to interacting with people. You did get it. You lied.
No, I just grabbed it from the.
Oh, okay.
I literally just grabbed it.
So then Randy starts, he's just playing with Mike's more. He starts making noises, and Mike would repeat them, but just perfectly. And he wouldn't just repeat it, he would elaborate and make it impossibly accurate. And right here it says okay, wait, sorry, I lost my spot again. God damn it, you talk.
But basically, it's what you can imagine. It's like a kid finding all the little things they can do to like have fun with an animal, especially one that can imitate them and copy them. It's like a parrot. You try to get it to say the same thing just into it. That's basically this whole interaction. Randy's like fascinated by like this animal that can imitate him, and then there's this Bigfoot that's just curious because he's just learning about a human, supposedly.
Yeah, I mean, he gets to play with something, and if you think about it, I don't know how many. Somebody asked in chat, how many Bigfoot are there? I don't know. Maybe if it's playing with children, though.
I think the important question is it Bigfoots or big feet?
I think it's Bigfoots. I think it's Bigfoots. It's not big feet.
Not big feet?
It's not big feet. No.
Okay, Bigfoot. But yeah, if they're having children and like Mike is a child Bigfoot, they're obviously like reproducing. It's I don't know.
But we don't know how often they reproduce, how many do it. We don't know.
Like it's once in a century or something, you know?
It could be like a comet.
they wait for the certain comet to pass by. And then there's like a Bigfoot orgy out in the woods.
Yeah, they wait for Halley's Comet.
Yeah.
It's too many Sam Squanch. Yes, it's Sam Squanch. It made it obvious that Mike understood what the sound was. So an example, Randy would meow and then Mike would meow, and it wasn't just mimicking, it was like Mike was the cat. And I guess it was very spookily similar, which is something I find very interesting. During one of these cat mimics, Mike hissed at one point, which Randy describes. It made Mike's face appear as it was melting or bubbling, which is very interesting.
That was just out there because apparently Mike hissed and his face like bubbled and oozed. It was melted. And I want you to explain the logic behind that, because it was astounding to me.
Infrasound is the explanation for it, and I do have the definition and some of the reported effects. I'm glad this is catching you, Dark. It's pretty fascinating to me. Infrasound, the definition is, in its popular definition, a sound below a frequency of 20 hertz. Is clearly audible, the hearing threshold having been measured down to 1.5 hertz. Popular concept that sound below 20 hertz isn't audible is not correct. But there's something about this frequency, though. Some of the reported effects include those on the inner ear, like vertigo, imbalance, etc., intolerable sensations, incapacitation, disorientation, nausea, vomiting, and bowel spasm, and resonance in inner organs, such as the heart. Infrasound has been observed to affect the pattern of sleep minutely. It's weird.
Well, I don't understand how Mike himself hissed and then his face melted. This isn't like
it's the infrasound.
That doesn't explain it though.
See, if you look at some of, like, all right, because I have read up on some infrasound stuff. When I watched this long time ago, it's like, oh, infrasound, it can make people hallucinate. There's a wide array of effects on whoever hears it, and it's known to be produced by other large mammals. So I need to stop reading chat.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I can't.
I think chat's right. It's basically the brown note, but for face melting.
The brown note.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you go read some studies on infrasound, I have seen cases where it makes people hallucinate, and I don't know how. I'm not a scientist. I'm just an enjoyer of this sort of thing.
You're just an enjoyer of science.
I'm an enjoyer of science. Yes. I'm not a scientist.
I
probably should have been. It's very interesting. But that'd be so cool.
But basically,
I could be a scientist and study this shit.
Yeah, but anyway, basically, Mike Brown noted his face into oozing.
Oh
essentially.
My god!
That's basically what's being said here, is that Mike did this to himself or something.
Well, okay, so it was something about the hiss. That one specific note, like I don't know if Mike was aware that he was doing this to him, and I think he brings it up. The hiss, for some reason, is important. Like, I mean, I don't know. I think it might, and I don't know if Mike understood, but I think it might be like a defense mechanism almost, and it may have just come out, and then it had a weird effect on Randy. Yeah.
I don't know. It's just really weird. That's just an odd moment that that Mike's face melted.
I know, but it just appeared that way to Randy because of the infrasound. I mean, it's a specific thing that is known to have effects on humans. I don't know if any other, mammals or whatever, if it can have this effect on other beings or whatever. It probably does.
Well, when you imagine like a infrasound, based on what you said, it seems like it affects you mentally and can have physical effects, but not physical to the point where your skin is oozing.
Well, like I've said, I don't think your skin actually oozes. All right, it's a hallucinatory effect.
So what you're saying was like this was Randy's what he was seeing.
Perception.
His perception. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. All right.
But Mike hypnotized Randy into thinking his face was melting. Mike's kind of an asshole.
There is. I don't think he meant to be an asshole. I really don't. There is something that comes up later though about a hypnotizing sound that he makes. We'll get to that in a second though.
Yeah.
In the barn though, there were ropes coming down from the ceiling, and Mike, the orangutan, as Randy thought he was, and Randy, they played on them, and this is sort of when Randy got a really good sense of the creature's athleticism and strength. He said it was alarming to see how strong he was, and so it was pretty exciting. And so being excited, Randy decides to like beat his chest like a monkey or an orangutan would, and and he made like an ape noise from in the movies he'd seen, and so Mike repeated it, but his eyes turned red and his demeanor became aggressive, and Randy thought he was about to die. And there's something else that happened during this moment here. In this aggressive display, Randy learned that these creatures sort of had like an anatomical feature right here. Yeah, that picture. Yeah. You see how his tusks or his like fangs or whatever you want to call them, his teeth are out. Apparently they can retract as they close their jaw. And this sounds stupid, like a Transformers toy or something, but there have been other reports of this as well. There's something that they call it. I don't remember what it is.
I don't. Like retractable fangs.
Yeah.
That,
sure.
But what?
It's involuntary apparently, and when the mouth opens, the teeth come out, and it closes, they go back in.
Yeah. The weird thing is, he said this is specifically a male Bigfoot thing. Like he said,
did he?
Male Bigfoot. Oh, male Sasquatch, retractable tusks.
Right. So yeah, this is a good picture that sort of shows what I'm trying to describe. This is again the guy who experienced it. This is who's drawing this.
Yeah, he has like this whole lure behind a Sasquatch, and what this made me think of was like two movies around that time, Predator and Alien. But Predator came out like in '87, Alien was '79.
Yeah.
So this came after. Right. Like the whole incident in '77. Randy's experiencing this as a 10-year-old in '77. So these movies came in after. But adult Randy knows those movies. So
all right.
Yeah, so it's like this is adult Randy recollecting these things after having these movies come out. And I
am a fan of those movies, and I totally forgot about that. Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just like the retractable little mouth in Alien, and then like almost kind of like the little fangs in Predator. It's
I guess.
there's some
It's
like
a theory.
yeah, there's some connection there because they look kind of similar. But
Yeah, I can see that.
so
No
I
dark
think
sea.
he
No.
just made ape alien.
Oh, you know what? I noticed the red eyes thing is another similar thing with a lot of cryptids too.
Yeah, he's
Because
related to Mothman.
Mothman.
Yeah.
It could just be a cryptid trait, you know.
Oh yeah.
Or it could be that he has like eyes sort of like a cat. Maybe I don't know, but he said they turned red.
Oh
so.
no, what if like Mothman's an evolutionary stage for cryptids? Like this is like the next link. Bigfoot evolved from Mothman, and
Sure.
I mean, yeah,
Sure.
cryptids are all like under the same genome.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Sure. Sure.
I mean,
think they come
how
from a
else
different
do you
place.
explain the red eyes? This is science.
All right. Anyway, so after that, Randy really doesn't think that this is his friend anymore, and so he went to run, but Mike wouldn't let him. And apparently, looking back, Randy thought that now he thinks that Mike was still playing like the mimicking game where Mike's always sort of took it one step too far. So like he'd meow like a cat and then make it sound even more like a cat. So now what he's doing is repeating he's repeating what Randy's doing and just didn't realize that it was fucking terrifying.
Yeah. Well, and to some credit to Mike, like a lot of animals do this, like they play fight. They just fuck around a little bit. So this is like this could be him just like play fighting or just like something.
Yeah, and it's a sign of aggression in some animals, and so maybe he was just really mimicking the aggression that he has observed before. It was unclear whether he was really in danger or not. So even though like Randy thinks that Mike was only playing at this time, it doesn't mean that it still wasn't dangerous. Because, normal actions to this creature could certainly prove deadly to a human, is what he says. And, yep. And that I'd probably flip out too. Only play fighting, he didn't realize at the time Randy started to scream for his life, which at that point, Mike pounced on him and made another strange hissing sound that Randy claims to have like a paralyzing, hypnotizing effect at close range.
Oh yeah, that's something else.
Yeah. And he said he was unable to move, but not because he was pinned, but because of the sound.
Yeah, it's almost like a Pokemon move. like Randy's suddenly paralyzed because of this, and it's I don't know. It's not, the lure behind this is just so out there,
Yeah.
Like having a Bigfoot that's able to scream at you and paralyze your body.
This is a hiss, not a scream.
Oh, sorry, a hiss at you.
Hiss.
I feel like that's even
is
worse.
very different.
Like getting hissed at by a Bigfoot and then bam, you can't move.
Yeah, it'd be pretty scary, but he said it did significantly calm him down. And then Randy says, in hindsight, he now believes that this was infrasound. And then, the picture is so great. He hears the hay door open, and he thought it was his dad. And he thought that his dad had heard his screams and was coming to help him. And he can't actually turn his head to look. But of course, Mike, he jumps up off of him at that time. And so Randy was actually able to look around, and he sees another Bigfoot. And it appears to be Mike's mother, a female Bigfoot. And she was pretty angry, it appeared. She was mad.
She was like yelling at Mike. It was like I feel bad for Randy because it's like you go to your like a friend's place and then their parents are fighting and then yelling at your friend. That's how I imagine Randy felt like with Mike's mother yelling. I
mean, that's always awkward.
Yeah. So that Mike got in trouble for hanging out with Randy, essentially.
Yeah, she was surprised to see him hanging out with a human. It seemed like. And,
I forgot. Mike's parents are racist against humans.
Yeah, seems like it. And apparently, Mike's dad was outside too. Well, Randy believes, and that Mike was using like the infrasound to try to make him be quiet because he didn't want to attract the attention of his parents, which is another interesting thing. Because that's the infrasound thing. It could be, like he's trying to quiet him so he doesn't get in trouble. It seems like he doesn't want to hurt Randy.
It's like the Bigfoot equivalent of one kid saying to another, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. It's gonna get me in trouble.
You're gonna get us in trouble.
Yeah, that's like the Bigfoot equivalent.
Yeah. Yeah, he didn't want to attract the attention of his parents, as if like Mike knew he was doing something forbidden. So at this point, the large female Sasquatch, it says she kind of lifted herself into the hayloft. She grabbed Randy and smelled him with like very fast sniffs, the way a dog would do. Like, when you put your hand up to a dog's nose and he's smelling you for the first time. But the way she grabbed him, though, in the detail that he says is kind of odd. Yeah, the Sasquatch picked him up by the waist and brought him to her nose. So she wedged her thumb between him and the waistline of his pants. And I guess this is a little odd, it made his pants kind of break off. And so now he's naked, which sucks. And so then she sort of just drops him and cut his thigh, like not like a small cut either, like kind of a bad cut.
Like it's a gash, essentially.
It's a gash, yeah. It's not good. And I guess he had drawn these, but the guy who makes these videos, Bob Gemlin, he did.
Yeah.
And he didn't get in because there's not like anything gross. He just didn't want to get in trouble for something.
Then I didn't look them up because you can't show them.
Yeah. And apparently the bigger male Sasquatch was waiting outside. And apparently Randy's father was approaching with a shotgun. Do you have that picture? That one's important. Please. Oh my God.
No.
You don't?
No.
What have you been doing all day? Oh my God.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, all this is extremely terrifying. One moment you're playing with what you think is an orangutan, a monkey, an ape, whatever. That's so cool. Who doesn't want a monkey? And then its huge parents show up, grabs you, smells you, rips your pants, and cuts you, and then drops you. Like, and there's a detail because in the drawing you can see Randy's father on one side of the barn holding a shotgun, and you can see the male Bigfoot sort of looking around the corner. And the way he describes it, he said the male could see his father, but his father couldn't see it. So the thought here is that Randy's dad saw what looked like two big bears coming out to the barn where he knew Randy was playing, and goes out there with a shotgun to protect his kid. Yeah, he saw hairy figures moving on all fours toward the barn where Randy was playing. So yeah, try to win to protect him. And here, sorry, I'm terrible at this. Yeah, he thought there were bears. The female grabbed Mike and leapt from the loft. So she grabs the baby Bigfoot and jumps out from inside the hayloft. And Mike was apparently Mike was holding Randy at this time too. So Randy tumbles with them again to the ground. And actually that's interesting because it's a female. She's holding two large beings and can just like bounce around and jump like with ease.
Oh, sorry. I
what are you doing?
I grabbed the image you needed.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. This is what Randy recalled as the big male Bigfoot and his dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the thing is, like, his dad later said that he didn't have like a slug shot in his shotgun. It was like more for hunting birds. So attacking a big
it was like
animal
a
like
19.
This, yeah, attacking a big animal like a Bigfoot, it wouldn't take it down.
Yeah. But what I just described with the lady Bigfoot and the man, or the lady carrying Mike and Randy at the same time, it's an example of the difference between the physicality of a Sasquatch and a human. And there we go. Yeah, that. So from where she jumped, it'd be a really dangerous fall for humans, but she just, kind of boing. It's just nuts.
Yeah, I mean, also they're a lot taller, so the fall distance isn't as high.
Yeah, definitely part of it, at least a little bit.
Well, then they're probably more accustomed to jumping around, being in the forest and all. Like they have, they've evolved from Mothman to be able to jump around. They lost their wings.
Yeah, it's because Mothman's an angel and these guys are the other ones, apparently.
Yeah.
Randy's dad appears and he's cursing and exclaiming because he's so shocked and he can't believe what he's seeing. And he sees the two adult Sasquatch and they're running into the cornfield. And Mike, the little baby Sasquatch, is still being held by his mother. And he's struggling and escapes her grip and approaches Randy and his dad on all fours. The adult Sasquatch don't pursue him. Like, they don't come back, but they growl. They growl. Apparently, they're just like, damn it. Which sounds kind of silly, but I don't know. The whole thing is just, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's very odd just because I feel like they would know their strength compared to like these small humans. Then
that brings back something else that I talked about with the Mothman. I don't think they're trying to cause harm, and I don't think, because another thing that comes up, they don't really know what guns are for at this point. Really, it doesn't seem like they do. I don't think they're trying to cause harm. They're just trying to hold on to their baby, and maybe they think the humans. I don't know.
Yeah, well, they made the mistake of leaving witnesses. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's true.
But no, like you said, they don't understand the concept of the gun.
16 gauge.
16 gauge.
Yeah.
Okay. They didn't understand the concept of a gun. They have, like we said earlier, with it in their little hovel of grass, and they just have little shiny objects in a picture frame with a stock photo.
Yeah.
A very limited understanding of technology, and they're spooked by just the sound, because anyone would be from the crack of a shotgun,
Yeah. Well, and then Mike comes back and stands up. Yeah, good. That's good. He stands up about 10 feet from where Randy and his dad were, and Randy yells for his dad to shoot it, which is very understandable, but his dad points the gun into the air and fires because, again, 16 gauge shotgun, it's basically for birds. And it could have taken down the small one, but seeing how pissed the parents would be, it probably wouldn't. It would maybe put like a tiny dent into them.
Yeah, it would just piss them off, essentially.
Yeah.
Maybe wound them, but not kill them.
Yeah. And this scared them, and they go back off into the cornfield. And I guess Mike came back. Wait, yeah, Mike came back out a moment later, and Mike's parents apparently thought that Mike was fleeing from them, but he wasn't. Wait, hold on. Mike was fleeing with them. Oh, okay, all right. They thought that Mike was with them, so that's why they didn't come back first. And so they come back for Mike once they hear the gunshot. Wait.
But yeah,
no, I fucked it up.
No,
fucked it up.
They escape. They escape, and because Randy's mother is like concerned about the whole thing, asking where father and Randy is. So she calls the police and an ambulance.
Wait. Yeah, but all right. So Randy's parents, they're gone. They didn't come back. I'm sorry. I read it wrong. I'm stupid. They're gone. So Randy and his dad, they go into the barn because they don't want to shoot and then get smashed by two giant creatures. And there's a gap in some of the boards of the barn, and and through that gap, Randy's okay. Yeah, all right. Mike is like reaching through the gap at them, and then Randy's dad sort of hits. Yeah, he's like playing tug of war with the gun, and eventually Randy's dad gets it. And does he shoot? And does he shoot again? Or is I think he just hits.
I think he hits Mike.
Yeah, he hits Mike. And wait, okay, there's something here. All right, he
hits Mike, and then at some point, the police get called, and police in the ambulance. Oddly enough, Randy's mother called them, and the ambulance is odd. Not.
Well, I guess you see bears or you see what you think are bears, and maybe someone's hurt. You hear gunshots.
Okay, yeah, that's
maybe
true.
Someone's
that's
hurt.
True. Someone's hurt. Call an ambulance as well. But yeah, when the police show up, they cut off Mike from going back into the burn. They there's a hole, a door into the burn.
Did they do that?
Yeah, they blocked it with their cruiser.
Okay. All right.
They cut. They cut him
right
off.
Here I see that.
Yeah, they cut him off, and Mike kind of ran into the grass while Randy was getting stitches in the ambulance, and Randy's dad. Yeah, Randy's dad was explaining, "Hey, there's Bigfoots out there to the police, and all they had were pistols, and they didn't really have anything to fight Bigfoots."
Yeah. I'm scrolling. Okay. The police start hearing gunfire down the road. And so they're like, oh my God. And so they take off.
Oh, wait. There's one thing I want to bring up before that. Apparently they saw Mike in the grass, he was hiding in the grass or something, and the police just loaded right into the grass trying to kill Mike. Yeah.
Jeez.
So it's
I forgot about that.
Yeah, they opened fire, and then Mike ran off, and gunfire started popping off next door at Tim's house.
Yeah. Right. So Randy and his dad followed, and they get to Tim's house, and they find the police inside talking to Tim's dad and Tim's mother and the siblings, and they were packing up the car. They were preparing to leave. And apparently they left forever after this, too. They were just gone. Screw this. Let's see. I guess Tim told Randy that his father had shot the orangutan, and Tim's family had been sort of relaxing after dinner when they heard screams and banging on the side of the house. So Tim's dad got the gun as Mike came in through the bathroom window and went straight for Tim. So when Tim's family sees this, they start screaming because and then Mike's parents are looking through the windows, and Tim is begging his dad not to shoot. And what I think happened is Mike's scared, and that's his friend. And he's like, come on, we gotta go. I think he's trying to save him, almost.
I think, I don't know. it's weird to like go from like getting shot at from one place to like go, hey, let's go do the exact same thing that got me shot at here, but at this other place now.
Right. And Tim's dad does shoot him.
Yeah. Mike gets shot for trying to kidnap Tim. And
yeah.
While Mike's parents were watching through the windows, apparently.
Yeah.
And something to point out, Tim is a fan of Bionic Woman, but Randy is not.
Yeah, you can see that. That's pretty fun. I saw that yesterday. So I don't think that the police actually hit Mike, because at this point,
oh no,
it seems that he just think that these are like guns. They just make loud sounds. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
And so then, he's not scared when Tim's dad shoots the gun once, eventually shoots him and hits him.
Yeah, he doesn't understand the repercussion of those sounds. He just thinks it's just loud noise, because like he uses noises to like incapacitate people and to communicate. So he's assuming the gunshots are a way of communication or something that he doesn't take seriously.
Yeah, I mean, there's any way that you can take it as something, because it's described that it seemed like Mike sort of just had the mentality of like between a 2 and 6 year old child. Like the way he was playing, like when you get a kid to start playing, it's almost impossible to get him to stop, and that's what it seemed like to Randy.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to see it from like the animal perspective, because like you see
that too.
You see it from Randy's
father. A small
father.
Child mixed with an animal.
Yeah, from like you see like Randy's father show up and the crack of his shotgun going off, and then you see a bunch of other adult males showing up with guns and popping off. So it may be some form of communication that human adult males do.
Yeah. I could see that.
It could be some
if I was an animal.
Animal interpretation of that. So it's like so it's realizing, oh, I shouldn't be afraid. They all make this sound.
Yeah. Well, after that, Mike, the Sasquatch, disappears and just kind of runs because ow. And eventually a search by law enforcement. They fail to find Mike that night. But however, Mike's injuries were very grievous. And the people who live next to Tim's house, like about 2 houses down, they find Randy, or 2 houses down from Randy, sorry. They find Mike's body in a creek the next morning. So Randy and his dad come over, and Tim and his dad were already there on the property. And the owner had laid Mike's body on a picnic table, and he's dead. He's dead. And it apparently was really jarring to see him like this too. It's very sharp contrast to how he was before. And the owner of the property was doing an impromptu, like, autopsy.
Yeah, autopsy, like just a backyard autopsy, It's just weird that...
And seeing this now, it's kind of like, yeah, why would you do this in front of a kid? But again, 1977... Well, it was a different time.
Rural, like they also said they were hunters as well, so they think, they were just
farmers, hunters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. They were. I was mixing up farmers and hunters together. Harmers. There we go.
Yeah.
They just wanted to figure out what this thing was, and it was really. I guess it made Randy sick, because he reports that he threw up in the field as they realized what they were doing.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is what they say Mike had. Like, he had 2 hearts and retractable teeth and a penis. Like, very specific things Randy recalls.
Really specific. Yeah, it says all right. It described the hind tusks was rapidly unsheathed as the mouth opened, and strangely enough, 2 hearts, or at least one organ beside the heart, that seemed to perform some function related to blood pumping. Randy would later describe this as a detached chamber. They also noticed that Mike's member was inside of him. So another interesting, very specific thing.
Yeah, it's just so some of these things are just so specific, and it makes me question, like, if you're making this up, why would you make this up? Or how to even begin with this? Like the sonic screams or hissing, the sonic hissing to paralyze people, the retractable teeth and 2 hertz. It's just very odd details to throw into the story. But
Maybe he was just cold.
yeah,
maybe
he was just cold.
He was
Shrinkage,
dead,
shrinkage.
so yeah. Apparently then Randy sees 2 very, very massive shapes peek out from behind the barn near them, and he realized what it was before anybody else did. And then the property owner screams, and they ran as well.
They ran away screaming.
Yeah, because you see these 2 things, you wouldn't. I mean, I'm not gonna stand there when they're dead baby.
The Bigfoots ran away screaming.
No,
yeah,
did they?
Yeah, they did.
Oh, the creatures. Wait, no.
Yeah,
Okay,
because like Tim's father went for the rifle, and then the Bigfoots ran away screaming.
But also it says Randy realized what it was before anyone else did. He ran for the house. The property owner screamed, and he ran too. And according to Randy, he wet himself. Tim's dad, however, seen the creatures before, and therefore was slightly less surprised, went for the rifle, at which point the creatures disappeared, and not silently. They crashed away screaming. So everybody runs away screaming.
Yeah, everyone's running away from each other. But yeah. they're screaming because they just lost a child to these humans that they're racist against.
Yeah, it sucks. The hate crime. And so this part's not funny at all. They buried Mike in a trench that was used for farm animals. And another interesting thing about this was the PBB poisoning. Yeah. That was killing a lot of livestock around that area.
What was it, Randy, that had the theory that it was the dead cows that attracted the Bigfoots over there? That they're kind of like scavengers and they feast on already dead things?
Yep.
Yep,
that makes them look really evil, but it's free food, you know?
Well, I mean, they're like scavengers, like almost like vultures. So... What?
So this whole PBD thing, though, there was the company that sold horse and cow feed to the area around them in Michigan that was contaminated with a chemical called PBB, which is a flame retardant, and it killed a lot of things, which sucks. Yeah. And I guess the effects lingered for a long time too.
Well, it may be the PBB that made their eyes glow red.
Well, sure.
So,
okay.
It may be some side effect of that, but it's just another fascinating detail for me. It's just that they're scavengers as well. They're like these really strong mammals, but they're not like really predatory. They're scavengers, or maybe even herbivores to a certain extent, and they'll
It reminds me of like cavemen who don't know how to use tools.
Yeah, a
little bit.
Yeah, it seems like they're like almost most of the time herbivores, but they're not optimistic.
Sure.
Opportunist, like
opportunity. Yeah.
Where they like if there's a free meal, they're going to take it. You know.
Yeah, which again it reminds me of early humans. You know?
So it's I don't know. It's another interesting detail that the dead draw them there.
Yeah, don't kill a bunch of cattle and stuff and leave them out.
Well, I mean,
you'll regret it.
You should if you want to see Bigfoots, though.
Don't do it though. That's bad. My God, please don't. And moving on a little bit, a few days later, Randy was called into the principal's office, and it seems that the boy who was there at the autopsy had taken pictures and brought them into school.
Snitched.
Yeah, he freaking snitched. I don't know. And Randy was in some of the photos. So let's see. As far as wait, God damn it. I lost my spot again. he got back to the house after school, and there were some like carpet cleaning vans, and his parents. And his parents. What the hell? No, okay, carpet cleaning vans and parents and some men from the National Guard. And there were also some other men there that seemed sort of government-y, right?
Yeah, but like Men in Black, essentially.
Yes.
Like they make an appearance here as well. Well, they surround Randy with like a bunch of machine guns and tie him to a chair.
Yeah, and the way he describes them, he now assumes that they were, in fact, the Men in Black.
Yeah.
They're not pale or paranormal. This is where I heard the theory that they're like sort of a tribal entity.
Yeah.
That sort of has, I guess, dominion over this sort of thing. Because I remember in this, they were sort of like arguing, you know, they're pointing guns at each other, but like, this is ours, Case. This is ours. No, this is ours.
They're fighting over jurisdiction for some reason. Like, it's weird, but I don't know. This part is almost goofy to me because it's like
I don't think so.
It's like out of E.T. Like the National Guard show up.
Sure.
They captured this child because he had this wild animal.
Well, he has knowledge is the thing, though. He's seen something that obviously they don't want other people to see.
Mm-hmm.
So, eventually the Men in Black win, basically. And Randy says they applied a few substances to him. I don't know if you want to call that, for an example, truth serum. I don't know. And after that, they had Randy lead them to, you know, the places where the incidents had occurred. And he never told them where Mike was, but he couldn't help but look at the grave. And the family who owned the property was apparently very angry at Randy for leading the authorities there. They recovered Mike. He was confiscated, and so were the tools used for the dissection. And according to Randy, all of these occurrences, including one newspaper that mentioned human Mike and his nocturnal adventures, were all just, they were made to disappear. Randy's not sure what happened next. The memories are a little bit hazy, he said. But through some kind of psychological technique, I get, and he didn't want to elaborate on it, every child who was involved was made to forget.
Memory wipe. Like Men in Black in the movie. But like,
I don't think they had that device.
But not with a flash. But like they used some.
No.
They did hypnotism or something.
They did something. He did say something about hypnotism at one point. I do remember him saying that. And then through more traditional means, you know, the adults, like, you don't want people to think you're crazy. Like, that's what I imagined, the traditional means of making the adults shut up about it. And Randy, for like 20 years, didn't remember any of this stuff up until about, it says the late 1990s.
Yeah, he only remembered an adult. Like, it's weird that something triggered all these memories to come back, and then he suddenly like began to draw from memory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and well, it says he began to remember this incredible saga. At first, it was only like a dream, and then with little snapshots during his daily life, and then he started to sketch them. And when he sketched them, you know, he starts to remember more and adding more and more detail. And that's kind of where all this ends. There's got to be a part 2, because there's a whole interview with this man, and the man who actually interviews Randy, Bob Gimlin, he says that he actually when Randy got up to use the restroom or something or take a break, he would smell what was in his drink. Says there was no alcohol, nothing. He thought because your first thought is, this person crazy? Are they on drugs?
Yeah.
What's going on? And at one point, Bob asks him for like something a little stronger, And so he's like, I think I have some beer. And apparently the beer in his fridge was all expired. So I think Bob says also, like, what person do you know with a substance issue that has expired beer?
Yeah. It would be my first thought as well. It's like, okay, was this guy on? like
Sure.
was he on
Not my
because
thought,
there's a
but
wild tale? It would be mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell, like, if someone's drunk from the infrasound and all that, you know.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
No, but I think you forgot the most important part of the tale. Apparently the Bigfoots smelt like literal fucking garbage.
Yeah, so that's something else too that comes up in the second part. Is apparently there are a lot of stories where people have seen Bigfoot, and they all of them consist of smelling these creatures, and that they smell like garbage, like skunk, like decaying things, just horrible.
Which would like attribute to the whole idea of scavenging. You know, they're scavengers.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's the story. That's the whole story of Randy. But let's actually
it's like a little intro.
Discuss 1 hour intro to tell the story. But yeah, like just discuss the idea of just like Bigfoots. I'm assuming you believe Bigfoots?
I do.
Yes.
My mom, when she was younger, she grew up out west, and they would go skiing and like ice fishing and stuff in the winter. And she's heard some really, really inexplicable sounds that she's never heard again in her whole life. And the range of the sounds that she describes is nuts.
What, was she paralyzed?
Dude. No, it was my mom, my grandfather, and I think my aunt that were all out there together, and they had all heard it, and they were like surprised and sort of just sat there listening for a very long time, and she's never heard it again. So I don't know. It makes sense to me because there's, I feel like I'm going to say this in every single episode. There's so much we don't understand. And we probably won't for a very long time, too. And there's probably things that we're not supposed to understand as well.
Well,
you know?
No, I don't. But that's
really?
That's why we're doing this.
Oh my god. It's so interesting.
It is interesting. I'm fascinated by it. I like the phrase of what the absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Just because we don't have like a Bigfoot doesn't mean it doesn't exist. But
we did have one, but people took it away.
Okay, I'm sorry. They took Mike away. They dug up Mike and took him away.
Yeah.
That's very convenient. Like every time we get a Bigfoot, it gets taken away.
And then there's the thought of, you know, so obviously the older Sasquatch or Bigfoots, they're really cautious about when they're seen and stuff, and will just poof disappear after a little while. And the juvenile, the child, is playing with another child and sort of blows their cover a little bit.
I mean, yeah, but
and just sticks around.
Like I said, this sounds like almost like a 90s movie where a child and an animal befriend each other.
Yeah, it does a little bit. It could be made into a pretty good movie, but
I don't think so. Like it ends with Mike dying. And someone
I'd watch it
on top doing
it's a
an autopsy.
70s movie where everybody dies at the end.
Okay, it's E.T., but E.T. dies at the end. Sure.
God, that'd be sad.
It
It'd
would
still be good.
It would be. but what are your just general thoughts overall? Just Randy's story from beginning to end. Like,
I think it's true, and I think that most of it is true. Like, you know, we watched the guy who was the whistleblower, and I think that there's some of that is embellished.
Okay, you said
but this,
most
I don't think
of
so.
It is true. What do you not believe?
Human memory is not extremely reliable. right? So he may have misremembered one or two things, but certain things, like, you know, him remembering like his dad hitting Mike with the gun, like the two hearts, the internal member. There's certain details, and Bob talks about the emotion that he talks with, which is pretty hard to fake as well. And coming up with this stuff as an adult with limited imagination as well, like, you know, it can happen, sure, but I don't think that's what's happening.
Well, what specific things do you not believe? Oh, think he's misremembering?
I don't think. I think I may have said that wrong way, like the wrong way. I think I believe all of it, honestly.
You believe all of it, like every detail.
Yeah,
there's no detail that makes
what I meant. No, there's not. There's really not, and I don't. The reason that I said most of it is because there are parts of it. Sure, if I was told, "Oops, I misremembered this," I'd be like, "Oh, okay, sure."
See,
yeah.
I have trouble just believing a lot of this.
Okay, why?
Just the overall telling. It's like a very, like I said, like 90s movie-esque kind of thing. It's interesting with all these details he's added in. Like the retractable fangs and all that. Those are like interesting details. But when you write a story or you create something, you kind of throw those in. You know, like you start talking about like an anatomy of a space creature or something. You start coming up with like lure when you write. You know. But
he's also created an entire research company out of this, like Midwest Bigfoot researchers.
I mean, come on, like, yeah, but there's like ghost hunters that make ghost industry like companies all the time.
Well, yeah, but that's bullshit. All right, so there's a difference. So this
one's real, but those are bullshit.
Look, he's not posting videos of, oh my god, did you hear that? It's him doing his own research on his own experiences and stuff. Like, he does have a YouTube channel and he does have a website and stuff. And I went and checked it out, and it's just him talking about what he knows.
And that's like a very cool idea of like creating the story around yourself, and you can like make this kind of like a augmented reality game, but like a story you'll tell. You know, it's a cool idea. Because there's a lot of details, you have this lure behind it. It's like writing yourself into a piece of fiction. You know, it's in the self-insert. You know, it's really cool.
Sure. As someone who has experienced a few weird things in my life, I get it. Okay, I get what this guy's talking about, and maybe it's just the way that I think or something, but I don't know. I believe him.
I have lots of doubts, but then there's also the part was like what we watched was like the set up the whole story, like what he experienced, but we didn't hear his telling of it. And I think that's a big important part to all of this. It's like the individual telling what they experienced, and we got this filtered through a YouTuber, not the person himself.
Yeah, and I do want to cover the actual interview with Randy himself at some point too, because it's him telling his own story.
But this is like me seeing it from like a filtered view of just like a retelling of Randy's story, and it comes across as kind of fabricated with interesting details thrown in to add to the lure, because that's like Bigfoot with paralyzing hisses and retractable tusks is like a cool animal you come up with.
Do you remember me saying that they can move to different dimensions?
Oh yeah.
Because
let's go into like more detail about that, because that was like a spin-off from like the Mothman thing.
Yeah. There are a few stories that I think there's a show called These Woods Are Haunted, and it's a lot of cryptid stories, which I love. And there's another really specific Bigfoot encounter that's pretty cool. A lot of times they'll throw rocks at people and just try to scare them away, which is, they're not trying to harm them. They just want them to go away. But another interesting thing is when these people who were having these rocks thrown at them in this experience, they try to get to their car, and it seems like all the like electrical equipment around these sightings, it stops working. They have some sort of effect that makes electrical equipment just stop. And so I do believe that's why you can't get pictures of them or whatever, or that's why it's been so hard to get credible photos of them, which I think that's part of the reason. That's what they want. You know, they don't want to be seen, and I get it.
The camera shot. Yeah.
Okay. But that alone, you know, not that alone, that being part of them being able to disappear so quickly, because a lot of times you'll hear people running away from them. They can hear these huge booming footsteps that shake the ground, and then they're just gone. Can't find them. You know, they'll go out looking. They're gone. You don't see anything. The footsteps stop in a certain spot. They're gone. So something with this, like, ability that they have to short out electrical things or make them just stop. Maybe it's like sort of kind of like an EMP or whatever. I think that has to do with them being able to just poof, get away at a second's notice, you know?
And where did they go?
That's my theory. Somewhere else. I don't know where it is.
I mean, like
I don't know.
Not specifically.
It's like a door.
To another
right?
dimension.
So
like they're grouping to another dimension.
It could be like a door underground. It could be a door to another planet. It could be a door in a completely different reality. It's possible.
So like when you brought this up, like during the Mothman stuff, when you were telling me that like Bigfoot's like an interdimensional traveler, I thought that was like one of the most insane things I've ever heard about this primitive beast. Just like going into different dimensions. But
he's primitive.
When I started thinking about it, it's almost like a fish with like a fish bladder where they like raise themselves up and down different levels of
See? So it's an ability.
Yeah, it's just like something that just comes natural. So like a Bigfoot may have like a dimensional bladder that like transfers them up and down dimensions, and they just happen
yeah
to pop in.
I think that's a good way to put it. So I think they just have an ability.
So it's like when I thought about it, it's not as crazy as I thought, but at the same time, it's like I think of the probability of something having that power, and it not showing up with any kind of like effects on the surroundings.
Let me ask you something. Do you believe in other dimensions? Do you think that? All right. Do you believe in the whole many worlds theory where, you know, there are different, like, you're somewhere else, but different things are happening? Like, there's a version of you.
Like,
yeah, that.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible.
Okay, so maybe these things have bled into ours from somewhere else. They're not supposed to be here, sure. Some of these things may have adverse effects on humans, some of them may not. Or, like, passive, whatever, negative effects. And that's sort of what I think is,
but like worlds
they're
colliding
from somewhere else a little bit, and maybe they didn't mean to come here, maybe they don't mean to, but they just do.
I imagine like I'm just starting to imagine this other world with like civilization 1,000 like times more advanced than us, and it's just filled with cryptids, like a Bigfoot, like a suit doing science or something. You know,
that's a fun thought.
I think the idea is cool, like this, you know, like a gate to hell, a gate to another world. There's some kind of like transfer it.
And there's also something called like gatekeepers too, which I think if you remember anything about Hellier, you know, they talk about those in detail. But I believe that there are entrances to other places that we can't access. We don't have that ability.
Mm-hmm.
I think these things have that ability.
With the dimensional bladder, yes.
Yes.
A
little bit.
The idea isn't as outlandish when you just like told me about it. But it's like I thought about it. I was like, okay, I can make sense of it in some ways. but I find the likeliness very unlikely.
Okay, but that's also because we've not caught one and done horrendous experiments on it.
Yes. Well, apparently hunters have, but no one else has.
Yeah, it's because someone knows that these exist. Someone is lying to people, trying to think they don't exist. They don't want other people to know, and I don't know those reasons.
Name them. Who is it? Who's keeping Bigfoot away from us? Them. Who's them?
Yes, them.
Putin?
Them. Ominous them.
Yeah, ominous them. Men in Black.
Yeah.
Will Smith. All that.
Could be the Men in Black.
Yeah.
Will Smith, yes.
Will Smith.
It's his fault.
He'll slap anyone that finds a Bigfoot.
Nice.
But no, it's. I think it's just very unlikely, especially like in a state like Michigan. I find it a little bit harder to believe.
Why?
Versus like let's say just the out in middle of nowhere of like Canada, you know, like in the frigid wasteland.
Michigan has a lot of middle of nowhere.
I know it has a lot of middle of nowhere,
especially
but
in
also
77.
There's a lot of like people there. I expect these like in middle of nowhere stories, like in Alaska or somewhere in middle of nowhere, Canada. You know.
Sure, but everywhere has a lot of middle of nowhere.
That's
like,
true.
If it
I mean, like the
in
mountains
Seattle
of
or Chicago.
Yeah.
There's gonna be people everywhere. It's just there's a lot more that we don't see, but just because there's a couple people there, we get these cool stories.
I don't know. It's just weird that Randy was in the, I guess, right place at the right time to encounter a Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah. These things happen.
Witness a Bigfoot get slaughtered before him.
Yeah, sucks.
Yeah, and then get pumped full of drugs by Men in Black and everything.
I don't know what it was. I'd be really curious to know. I think he goes into a little bit more detail in his interview, but we'll have to watch that one next, or talk about it next, at least.
Yeah, I'm very skeptical of this whole thing. I think it was like, out of all the things we've done so far, it's very interesting. But it's also, I don't know, I find it the least believable.
Is it because the amount of witnesses?
The amount of witnesses?
Because I'm thinking about, like, with Indrid Cold and the Mothman, there were so many witnesses. While the whole thing seems incredibly outlandish, Woodrow Derenberger wrote a book about it. Okay, this guy's basically drawing his memories, which is kind of like a book, but there weren't as many witnesses. Does that have something to do with it?
It's not a matter of witnesses, it's the matter of the story itself. It seems very fictional, if that makes sense. It feels like a book.
I guess so. You need to broaden your mind, bruh.
It feels like something that's been crafted.
Okay.
Like Derenberger, I think he experienced something out there. I don't know if it's Indrid Cold or something, but he did. I feel like that guy ruined his life over Indrid Cold.
He did.
I believe he experienced something. I don't know if it was Indrid Cold or not. But this story seems very fabricated, and there's a lot of there's some Hollywood moments in this whole thing. You know, like police shooting into the grass, shooting into the sky with your gun and scaring off these creatures. These very odd.
It makes sense to me. Sorry, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know it makes sense, but they're also very Hollywood-esque in a way. And then the details like the retractable teeth and stuff feel like something a writer would craft to make a cool creature that's different from the familiar.
Sure, I can see it, but I believe him.
I of all the things, this feels like the most crafted story.
Even compared to the whistleblower.
The whistleblower, Crap, that guy was really fake.
I was gonna say that maybe has the least percentage of belief with me on that one.
I would say so. Yeah, I agree. Thinking back on the whistleblower, it's like the more I thought about him, it's just like the more like of a shell this guy seemed. Like he wanted to get his UFO thing off the ground, his research thing. You know,
could be, yeah.
But that's also another thing is like I'm really skeptical once they start creating some kind of organization based around what they've experienced. UFO discovery, ghost hunters always have those things like.
Well, and this guy, sure, he has like I guess a sort of organization, but it's simply for him to do research. He's not like shilling it at all. He was just trying to get his experience out there too. So
well, we saw clips of the interview. He has like dozens of.
He had a shirt on, sure.
He had dozens of T-shirts in the background to sell.
That's what he does. That's what he does. Who does T-shirt of Bigfoot? I literally have a sticker of the Mothman on the back of my car.
Yes, so you're his clientele. So it's like, oh, cool. I made this story. I made it believable enough, and now I'm selling Bigfoot T-shirts and all these other Bigfoot things.
No, I think he's another person who wants to put the truth out there.
I don't know if he's doing it for that, but I'm already like very skeptical about that because it's weird. The more modern and contemporary we get with these stories, the more of that angle we have to look at because if we look at Woodrow back in the 60s and Indrid Cold, he didn't profit off this whole Indrid Cold thing really that much. He sold his book, but it was a very niche topic, you know? Like, how many people do you think bought that book? He became more, like, notable after his death than anything else. I think there's more people talking about Indrid Cold than when he was alive. And his daughter really took advantage of that, in my opinion.
She did. I'm not happy about that.
But I guess the more contemporary we get with these sightings and everything, the more we have to look at this, look at the profitability aspect of it, especially because these cryptid communities, ghost hunters, all these paranormal communities, kind of looked at as like a piggy bank, something you can profit off of, you know, if you come up with a good enough story.
Especially ghost stories, sadly. But,
I mean, there's like so many ghost hunter like companies out there. Well, like I think of the show Ghost Hunters with taps and shit like that, you know.
Yeah, and I think Demi Lovato's doing one now. It's really cringy and terrible.
Yeah, and I guess that's just a problem with Randy because he's a contemporary, and he has more stacked against him to make his story believable. At least to skeptics. Maybe not to like people who already believe or already in this like cryptid mindset, but for like people like me, it's a lot more skeptical and gives me something to say, hey, he has this motive for like money.
Yeah. Okay. Well, do we have anything else? Anything else you want to mention about it?
I can't wait for the release of Mike and Me, the classic childhood tale of a little boy's Bigfoot being autopsied by their neighbor. Yeah,
I would like to see that too.
You got anything else?
If eventually that movie does come out, then I will retract me saying I believe him. But maybe 50-50.
Well, Mike and Me makes me think of that one movie that McDonald's tried to make.
What?
Yeah, it's like a knockoff of E.T., but it's McDonald's based, and everyone knows that one scene of the kid rolling down the hill.
I don't.
Yeah.
I'll have to find it later.
I'll show you later.
It to me.
But yeah, no, it makes me think Mike and Me is going to be that type of movie where it's just a very low budget effort to profit off something that's popular.
Oh my god, it could be, but we'll come back with Randy's interview for himself at some point. That'll be fun.
Let Randy speak.
Yeah, and I think our next one we have a special guest, right?
Yeah, we're still planning that out. We'll see.
Yeah,
we will see. But yeah, we'll be watching Mike and Me.
Come on, Randy, let's see it.
I want to see him like in his backyard with just like a hand camera, just like running around in the woods, like screaming, "Mike, Mike, Mike!"
It's like Sean.
Sean. He just falls over and is like, "Oh no, I'm paralyzed."
Ah. Ooh. Ow. Anyway.
No.
This was fun.
Yeah.
Anybody who listened, a big preach.
Yeah. Fun. Bigfoot. Dimensional bladders.
Yeah.
Fun.
Tell us what you think. I would actually like to hear other people who agree with me.
Yeah. No one.
Great. Cool. Anyway.
No.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye. It's good.